Well, hey, everybody. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming this afternoon. We're glad that you're here. So we're glad that you're here. And as we are looking at our January 20 to 30 of 2023 trip to the Holy Land, and welcome aboard with this gathering. We do have baklava over here and coffee and water, so make yourself at home. Feel free to get up and move about. Each of you have a paper on your chair, and also pen if you need. We got pens here as well that you're able to use. So I'd like to introduce you Tony Abuaita. He is the owner of Good Shepherd Travel, and Crystal and I had a tremendous time when we went over January of 2020, and this is a gift that we would like to see, a lot of folks get on board and to experience as well. So I've talked enough. I will hand this over to Tony, and it's good to have you here with us, Tony.
Thank you. How are y'all? Good afternoon. Tony Abuaita, Good Shepherd Travel. I know we're thinking about January 2023. It may sound like a long time from now, but believe it or not, it will be here before we know it. They already put up Christmas decoration, and we're barely in November. So just imagine how fast that is going to go by. A little bit about Good Shepherd Travel. About me personally, I am a Christian from Bethlehem, from the Holy Land. And I grew up in the little town called the Shepherd's Field, which is 1.5 miles east of Bethlehem. And that's the traditional place where the angels appeared to the shepherds and gave them the first good news. And I'm proud to say that that's where I'm from. I'm an Orthodox Christian. Been Orthodox Christian all my life. A lot of times people are not too aware of the situation over there. Immigrated in the 90s to the U.S. and been here since. And we established Good Shepherd Travel mainly for me, it's more like a mission. We strive to give business to the Christian community in the Holy Land. Whether it's the bus driver, the tour guide, the hotel owners, or the restaurants, after the year 2000, and just a little bit of history, after the year 2000, which had the second Intifada, or the second uprising in the Holy Land, a lot of political tension came about the Christian community in the Holy Land, where a lot of them started immigrating. We used to represent about 20% of the population between the Muslims and the Jews, but because of that uprising and a lot of political tension, that left us today with less than 1.5%. So as you can imagine, the Christian community in the Holy Land do not get the first priority for the business, especially for the travel industry, which they rely heavily on. So I wanted to start a company that would help keep the Christian community employed as well as maintain their presence. And that's why I started with the Good Shepherd Travel, mainly to help bring the business directly to the Christian community. And so this is how the Good Shepherd Travel was born. Good Shepherd, of course, the name comes from the Good Shepherd story, and I'm from the Shepherd's Field, so it all comes together. So without taking up too much of your time, we want to let you know that we operate more than 75 church groups annually. Of course, we were gonna have a record number for 2020. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we had to reschedule all of our groups. We specialize in especially Christian pilgrims, of course, and all of our people who I hire to be with our groups is people I know on a first name basis. Whether, like I said, the tour guide, the bus driver, all the hotels we affiliate with. I know almost everyone by their name who works with the group. So when you guys are over there, they know that you are our guests, and they know that the treatment is a little bit different. It's more family oriented treatment, and this is what we like to focus on. We want you to go to the Holy Land to experience the Holy Land as a place that you have familiarization with, and to not feel like you are a visitor or a tourist. We want you to feel like you're actually going to a place that you already know and actually enjoy be there. So I would like to go through, we have informational material here that I will use as a guideline to go through it, and then afterwards I will open it up for questions and answers. Let's a little bit about the package. We have it's the dates, of course, January 20 through 30. It is 11 days, and it's including travel. So you'll lose 2 days worth traveling. So it's 9 days on the ground with 9 nights. The package includes just about everything, which would be like the flights. We actually gonna have a bus that will pick you up from the church, will take you to the airport, and when you come back, we'll have a bus that will bring you back. Pastor Will, usually we include breakfast and dinner in the lunch. He's like, no, I want to make sure they're taken care of for lunch. So he wants to include the lunch in the package too. So you guys are already getting spoiled. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. Of course, you will have an excellent English-speaking tour guide. The tour guide in the Holy Land are literally walking encyclopedia. They don't just talk about the site, but they also talk about the culture, what you need to know. Just the guides are more, they're guides, they are leaders, they are helpers, pretty much everything they will take care of for you over there. And so another thing we focus on is we don't want you to live off of your suitcase. So out of the 9 nights, you will only be staying in 2 hotels. One hotel you'll stay 3 nights in the Galilee region. Another hotel you'll stay in Jerusalem, Bethlehem area for 6 nights. And throughout those times, we will do daily trips. For example, when we're in the Galilee, we'll go to Nazareth. It's about 30-minute drive. You'll go from the hotel from Galilee to Nazareth. You'll do your visits. And typically when we're in Nazareth, we'll visit Cana of Galilee and Mount Tabor, the Mount of Transfiguration. Thank you. And so we'll hit all those sites when we're already in that area. So we don't do a lot of back and forth. We don't do a lot of time in the bus. And so we have all the logistics down pretty good. So, and then when we get to Bethlehem, we'll do, between Bethlehem and Jerusalem, we're talking about 5 miles. So when we go to the Jerusalem, we'll spend 3 days in Jerusalem, but it's a short drive up the road to Jerusalem. A lot less traffic in Bethlehem than it would be in Jerusalem for us to overnight, so it's really, really nice experience. We do not have a deadline for deposits. I know that a lot of people have a question about that. We don't put the deadline for deposit. However, we do have a capacity. The bus capacity is 55 passengers. We like to utilize 80% of that. So 45 would be the maximum we will put on a bus. So to leave enough room for those who would like to have, don't want to share a seat next to someone. So that would be our kind of capacity. So we don't have a deadline, but the sooner you put in the deposit, of course, the sooner you secure your seat. The price, by the way, the price is based on this year's or last year's prices, so we didn't go up on these prices. just because, Pastor Will, he twisted my arm and all kind of stuff. So he's a nice guy, but he could be mean. um, of course, the the only deadline we have is 90 days before your departure, which is October of 21 or 22, and that's when the final payment is due. So we don't focus on any other deadline except that deadline. You do have an airline credit if you choose to purchase your own flight, or if you would like to upgrade, you have the option to do that. We'll apply the airline credit, which is 1,050, and you can, like I said, either upgrade or purchase your own flight. You can go a day before, come back a day later. All those things can be arranged. It's very flexible, so it's not a problem. Um, Cancellation, we charge $100 cancellation if you cancel before 120 days of the trip, which would be sometime 120 days is 4 months, which would be next October. So just a little bit about last year with COVID. So we had almost 100 groups scheduled last year. We rescheduled all of them. We gave the people the option to cancel with no penalty, or keep their deposit and keep the same price for the next time we reschedule. And those are the two options that we gave them. Those people who have chose to cancel, like I said, we did not charge them any penalty, since it wasn't their fault that we had to reschedule. And I can almost guarantee you a majority of them, those who canceled, because of course, travel agencies, tends to tank when things like this happen. Most of these people who canceled are back. So, because right now we rescheduled them, and they realize that we're not in it for the money. So we're probably one of the only companies who canceled their people without any penalties. Of course, from 90 to 120 days is $250, and then 61 to 90 days is half, and then within 60 days there's no refund. We'll talk about travel insurance. Air routing, it will be out of Detroit. We always try to get one connection, and we will always make sure we clear with the pastor before we confirm the flights. And usually we'll get a group fare for the whole group, so everybody's gonna be on the same flight, unless you choose to be purchase your own flights. That's up to you. That's pretty much it as far as the itinerary. Of course, it's all standard. Like I said, with 3 nights in Galilee, we'll visit all the sites there, and then the remainder will be in the Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Jericho area, where we will have the remaining of the experience there. All right. So I like to think the more you know about a place you're going, what to expect, how to prepare for it, the better you're gonna be able to enjoy it. So this is what I like to cover usually during the meeting. I want you to get familiar with what you need to know before you go, so that way you already know what to expect, and then when you get there, you are relaxed and not worried too much about anything. And so this is gonna be a spiritual experience, a religious experience. This is gonna be a pilgrimage, a journey. We walk in the footsteps of Jesus. Obviously, we're gonna be there to be able to see what they saw, whether it's Jesus, the disciples, everyone. All the stories that you've been hearing all your lives, whether it's the baptism, whether it's the marriage, or the crucifixion, or the Palm Sunday path, or all of those things happen in that area. You will be able to get in the Jordan River, walk on the Sea of get in the Sea of Galilee. um, you'll be able to walk the Palm Sunday path. All those things you will get to experience. The Sea of Galilee area have not changed since more than 2,000 years ago. What you will see is what they saw 2,000 years ago. So that is the experience of this trip. It's more about getting closer to your faith, understanding better the scripture, and understanding where the disciples were able to get these stories, and understanding the culture as well. Because the culture, if you know that it plays a huge role in how things are shaped out, and the traditions. So for you to understand, what happened in Cana, for example, that is huge to the story of Cana. For us today, if we're looking at it, what's the big deal? They ran out of wine. But 2,000 years ago, if for example, I brought some streets with me today. If I brought only 5 and 20 people show up, I would be ashamed. That would put my whole family to shame. The same thing would have happened 2,000 years ago in Cana. So it's a huge deal if that was the case, if you ran out of wine. Today, if you ran out of wine, it's not a big deal. But back 2,000 years ago, it's huge. So those things, it's a small story, but when you're in the Holy Land, for you to understand that aspect of that story, it completely changes the whole thing. So this is one of the things we like to touch on, and how do you prepare yourself spiritually, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it more and take more out of it. Prepare yourself physically. Of course, there's going to be a lot of walking involved. It's not continuous walking, but we're more walking than what we're accustomed to. So you should, to enjoy it better, you should go out and start doing some walking a few months before the trip, just so you can build yourself up to about 2 miles a day. Like I said, it's not continuous walking, but there are going to be some intense days, such as Jerusalem, the old city, where the bus will drop off in one of the gates, and you'll spend almost the whole day in the old city of Jerusalem on foot. Now, like I said, there'll be places where you can rest, especially when they're doing explanations, but it's better for you if you're more used to it than it would be if you just let it go, So physically, don't go to the gym every day and work out, but get yourself more accustomed to it. I don't know why we jump into the general info about your documents, flight arrival and travel, but it's okay. Usually, once everything is finalized, you'll get your documentation, confirmations, and your gift bag. We have a nice portfolio that we put together for you. It's a backpack, name badge, luggage tags, and all your hotel confirmations, your airline confirmation. All those things we'll send out about 4 to 5 weeks out, so you will have it in advance.
Everybody, Tony's referring to.
Oh, on the sheet. Sorry. See, this is what happened when I go after after I speak after you, I lose it. So that information, we'll send it out 4 to 5 weeks out, so that way you will have it. It will also include, when you first register, we'll include another packet of this, so that way you will have it. as well as with the final information, we will send you another one. Of course, we discuss in this informational packet a lot of things, which I'm not gonna go line for line. I will go just to highlight where everybody's always, have questions about, and usually are something that people would like to know about. Uh, for airline connection, we talked about which will most probably will use Lufthansa. Most of the time, we'll fly out of Detroit. Is going to be Lufthansa, and it's a very nice airline, German airline. We'll go from Detroit to Frankfurt and Frankfurt to Tel Aviv. So it's just a one connection, very good connection, and the airline is very nice. And so that's what we will target. Airline tickets. Airline now requires to provide an e-ticket, so we'll provide you with an e-ticket number, e-ticket confirmation, and you can go online. Now, group reservations sometimes a little bit different than individual reservations. They might restrict pre seat selection, and that just depends on the airline and what like how many tickets they have sold. And so like British Airways now, they will want to charge you for pre-selecting your seats, which a lot of airlines now started to adapt to these policies. So there might be some restrictions as far as pre-selecting your seat, but we'll find out once we get the contract from the airlines. So health precautions, of course, here it says no inoculations are necessary through the water in Israel. However, of course, now with COVID, we're not sure where it's going to be in January 23. We're hoping that it's going to be dissolved by January 22. But that's yet to know. No other vaccination is required. There are a couple that are recommended by the CDC, and those are on the CDC website. I think there's hepatitis A and tetanus shot. Those are recommendations. It's not required. We'll talk a little bit about COVID at the end, because I know that's on everybody's mind. But like I said, I'm hoping that by then we would not be talking about it. Of course, travel warning to the Middle East. There's always going to be a travel warning. It's been there since the 40s and 50s. However, we have direct connection. All my family's still there. All my people's still there. We have groups there regularly. So believe me, we know if it's not safe to go, we will not take you, because your safety is our number one concern. I'm not willing to risk jeopardize anyone's safety, for anything. So we talk about luggage. Oh, arrival procedure. So just so you know, once you reach Detroit, you will board your flight, arrive to your final destination. When you reach there, we have a representative. We hire a third-party company who has security clearance that will be able to enter inside the secure areas with a sign, whether we'll have Pastor Will's name on it or Good Shepherd Travel. They will gather the group right after passport control, and they will take them to get the luggage. And in the meantime, they'll be communicating with the tour guide to let them know, okay, we already finished this step. We'll be out in like 10 minutes. We have somebody lost their luggage. They'll be updating the guide pretty much on everything that's happening, even in the secure area. So as soon as you reach passport control, you already met one of our representatives who will help guide you through the remaining process. And that's the arrival. And once you clear customs or pick up your luggage, clear customs, that representative will hand you off to the guide. Once you reach with the guide, you're pretty much in the best hands that you can possibly be. The guide will be with you from the minute you arrive until the minute that you leave. So, like I said, the guide is not just the job to do the explanation for you, but also to make sure that you have everything you need, that you're safe, that you're healthy, that you, uh, if you need extra time to walk or need an extra bathroom break, whatever the case may be, your guide is going to be the one to make sure that you're getting what you need. So, we talk about a little bit about how to overcome jet lag. I need to revise that. I don't know how to get over the jet lag yet. um, Insurance. So insurance is highly, highly recommended, travel insurance. And we have the last couple pages, we'll talk about that in the package. I'm not going to talk too much about it. If you were to travel next month, travel insurance is required. So because they want, the countries that you're visiting want to make sure that you're covered from COVID. So that's why a lot of countries are requiring travel insurance. However, like I said, I will talk about what it would take to go next month. Unfortunately, I can't be sure what it will be in January 23. Okay, but like I said, we're hoping that um, COVID is no longer an issue. Transportation, you will be on a private bus or a private coach. This bus will be for our group alone. No one's allowed on and off that bus unless they are part of this group. So everything, if you wanted to leave your jacket on the bus or if you wanted to leave whatever it is, you are more than welcome to leave it. It will be safe and secure. It is a 55 passenger bus. Um, so we will have, like I said, maximum about 45 on the bus, and the remaining seats will be unoccupied for your comfort. Money and currency exchange. So a lot of you may not know this, but in the Holy Land, the main currency is the new Israeli shekel, and that's the local currency. However, the U.S. dollar is technically the second main currency used in the country. So you can walk up to a grocery store or a sandwich shop or whatever and use US dollar, and it's not going to be any problem. Almost everything is priced in US dollar. You don't have to convert your money in order for you to go. You're more than welcome to. It's not necessary. So we do encourage taking smaller bills with you, so that way, ones, fives, tens. If you wanted to buy pomegranate juice on the street, which they have all over the place, it's really, really good. Instead of giving them a $20 bill, you can just give them five or whatever the cost may be. So currency exchange, you can use credit cards. Credit cards are widely accepted, mainly MasterCard and Visa. I will not take American Express or Discover. Not many of vendors use American Express or Discover. So MasterCard and Visa are widely accepted. There are ATMs available, and the guide will tell you where to use your card or where it's safe to use it. And when I say it's safe, it's not that it's unsafe, but there's not everyone has your best interest at heart. If they can try to, get over on you for $100 or so, they will. This is how it is with all big cities or tourist destinations. So the guide will be your best person to ask, hey, is it safe to use a credit card here? And usually the guides will tell you in advance. Now what we're sharing with you today is it's all pre-sharing, so it's getting you ready. Also, when you get there, the guide will make sure that they will explain all these things to you as they come. Before you get to the old city, for example, they'll tell you, make sure you put your money in your front pocket, because in the old city there are some pickpocketers. There are people who are, like I said, their job is to go after the tourists and um, try to, get over on them. So the guide will make sure that you are well taken care of and well informed ahead of time before anything, bad happens. Um, we talk about tipping. Now, will cover your tips. The tips are already covered for everyone except for the guide and driver. The reason why I leave the guide and driver out, because they will be with you for the 10 days, 9, 10 days that you will be there. Uh, there's gonna be a relationship established. You guys gonna be able to uh, kind of use your best judgment on tipping, just like when you go out to eat. If you sit at a nice restaurant, you have a good waiter or waitress, you tip them based on the level of service you got. And this is the case when it comes to the guide and driver. Their job is not only to drive you or guide you, but also it's customer service. Make sure that they're attending to every need you have. So tipping is based on your means, and it's based on your experience. We do have recommendation for what to tip for a guide and driver, but at the same time, we want to make sure that you are able to be flexible with it, because we'll supply you with tip envelopes. That way you can write a nice note if you like about your experience with the tour guide and the driver. And those are the ones that we focus on. Hotel accommodations, we use good or excellent 4-star hotels. These hotels are going to be centrally located, as well as we focus on the service, the food, and the location is kind of like the last thing. Thank you. So that's, almost all the hotels that we use, we are repeat customers. So when a Good Shepherd Travel group walks in the door, they already recognize the quality, because we bring quality pilgrims. And this is really mainly how we do it, is by letting them know in advance what to expect and how to prepare for it. Electricity, we have, in the Holy Land, they use European style electricity or plugs. It's 220 volts versus what we use here is 110. So you will need an adapter, as well as if you are taking any like a hair dryer or curling iron or CPAP machine for those who need heavier loads, you would need to get a converter that will convert electricity from 220 to 110. And those could be purchased at at Walmart or Target, or and they range between $15 to $25, depends on what they have. And I was just telling Pastor Will that we will supply you with a adapter, one for each traveler. These adapters is what you would need to plug in your cell phone charger, your camera, your laptop. Those electronics, the light electronics, do not need a converter. They have built-in converter. So all you need is one of these things for you to plug into the wall, and you're good to go. And we will supply you with one of these. All right, telephone. Of course, nowadays no one uses the hotel phones. I don't know when's the last time I've seen one. But you will have access to Wi-Fi throughout your trip. So you will have free Wi-Fi on the bus, in the hotels, at the restaurants. Everywhere you go, you will have free access to Wi-Fi. And so you can use your FaceTime, your messaging apps, uh, whichever third-party app that you use. As long as you have free Wi-Fi, you could use it. If you require international service, I would suggest that you would contact your service provider and see what type of international plans that they will have. For example, I use Sprint. They give me free text messages, free internet, 2G speed, which is very slow, but still free. And 20 cents, they charge 20 cents a minute if I use my cell phone there. I know Verizon, AT&T, they have daily plans, so you can check with them if you need it. When I go, I was just there in July. I didn't have to do any of that. I just use the free Wi-Fi available everywhere I go. And if I don't have Wi-Fi, oh well. Don't want to talk to anybody. Um, we discussed a little bit here about shopping. So shopping, the reason why we put it in here because it's a big deal, and I can tell you why. You're gonna see a lot of temptations there when you're traveling. And a lot of times you are tempted to go into the shop here or into the shop there, and you'll forget that you're part of a big group. And the issue becomes where it's time management. So when we are arranging this trip, we put a lot of focus on the tiniest detail to manage time to benefit you, to make sure that you are maximizing your experience on the ground. And so, to take 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, it might not sound like a big deal, but if you add that up, you might end up missing one side because they closed because we got there 5 minutes late, or something like that. So the guide will get with Pastor will figure out a good time where they can take you shopping and focus only on shopping. We'll take you to a Christian cooperative where you have time and place and the comfort to buy all the gifts that you want. And then we will give you time in the old city if you wanted to go around and visit some of the spice shops or haggle here or haggle there. So we'll give you enough time for you to do that. It's just as long as we have already allocated that time for it. So that's one of the things that we would like to point out. Meals, breakfast, and dinner is going to be at the hotels. You'll have buffet style meals, all kinds of, for the breakfast, all kinds of salads. Of course, you'll have eggs and all kinds of hummus and really, really, really good healthy food for breakfast. Dinner, pretty much the same thing. You'll have a salad bar, you'll have lots of hummus, and typically 2 or 3 hot dishes, fish, chicken, and beef. And lunches, they will be on the road. Depending where you are that particular day, the guide will phone ahead the restaurant that he likes to eat at. Okay, he'll tell him, hey, I got a group of 40 people, get my tables ready. And usually when you get to the restaurant, the owner already knows that you're arriving. They already prepped for your group. Everything is fresh. Hardly anything is frozen. And then you get there, you order, you eat fresh. You're there 30, 45 minutes maximum. You're not there for hours at a time. And usually when you get there, they will already have a section ready for that group. And this is typical in any dining experience. Whether it's breakfast, you'll have a section that will have a little toppers that say this is Pastor Will's group. So we'll have 5, 6 tables, whatever it takes to seat the group size. The same goes for dinner. You'll have a section for dinner where the whole group will be, so you don't have to figure out, oh, where do I sit, who do I sit with, or all of that will be already prearranged. So, all right, we go to climate. Typically, January is beautiful. I travel every year in January with a group of pastors, and most of them are ELCA pastors. You know,
Very good influence on
I was that's where I'm at, Pastor Will, uh, and it's really beautiful, especially in the Galilee region. It's tropical weather, so it'll be in mid 60s pretty much during the day. It will go to like mid 40s at night and in the morning. Uh, and Jerusalem, higher elevation, a little bit cooler, about 10 degrees cooler, so mid 50s during the day. I mean, it could reach in the 60s, and it would be cooler at night as well. So what we try to tell people, excuse me, is dress in layers, because in the morning when you first leave, it might be a little bit chilly, you know, and then you can leave your jacket on the bus when you travel to the next destination and visit there. Language, of course, there's two primary languages in the Holy Land. There's Hebrew and Arabic. Those are the two primary languages. English is also a widely used language. All the signs, even restaurant signs, street signs, site signs, are gonna be in all three languages: Arabic, Hebrew, and English. So you're not gonna have any issue communicating with anyone while you are traveling. Passports, all passport has to be valid 6 months from the date of return. So you need to make sure that your passport is valid all the way through July 30th of 2023. And that's the country requirement. They want to make sure it's valid 6 months. No visas is required for US, Mexico, or Canadian citizens. All that will be taken care of once you reach there. We do have information about the embassy in Israel, and we have some recommendations on what to pack, clothing, and suggested items, and those are all suggestions. There's some frequently asked questions here also, and we have a before you travel checklist. This is very helpful, and it's a checklist for you to make sure that you have everything you need as before you travel. There's a couple months before travel checklist, within a week, and there's one on the day of travel. And then on the very back, we have the travel protection information for you, why you should get it, and what does it cover, and all that good stuff. And this is it for me. I'll see you guys next year. Yeah, this is pretty much, like I said, what we cover. What I like to cover in the informational meeting is really what you need to know, what you need to know before you go, and I just want to make sure that you understand this is something that we do on a very regular basis. The people who are involved in this, like I said, I know on a first name basis. We all have the same intentions for every single person, is that they are to come back so they can encourage more and more and more people to come. And it's not by force, it's by choice, because you enjoy so much and it's so beneficial that you want everyone you come across to have that same experience. I do want to point out one thing about going to the Holy Land. When we go to New York, when we go to California, when we go to Hawaii, we go as tourists. Okay, when we go to the Holy Land, we go as pilgrims. Big difference between a pilgrim and a tourist. When you arrive in the Holy Land, all the locals, they see you as a pilgrim, not as a tourist. So you have to understand that you are going to be treated as special, because you are coming to fulfill your religious duties. So a lot of times people ask us, how are the locals there? I said, the locals there, they love the pilgrims, for a couple reasons. Of course, they bring the money, okay, but at the same time, they know that these people are coming to fulfill the religious duties, not to just sightsee and, you know, and and crowd the streets and make all kinds of what tourists do. So this is something that a lot of people do not, understand about visiting the Holy Land, is that you'll be received differently than you would be received, let's say, London or, Paris or anything like that. So, and also, one more thing I forgot to point out is a lot of people don't know that, we know about the four Gospels, and many have said that the Holy Land is the fifth Gospel. So for you to experience the visit to the Holy Land is for you to be able to see the fifth Gospel, which makes a huge difference. So I'll leave that, and happy to, well, I said I was going to touch base a little bit about COVID. Okay, so the protocol, if you were to go next month to the Holy Land, which would require you today to have been vaccinated and have your vaccine has to be within 180 days of your visit. So, so if the second shot falls short of the 180 days, a booster is required. That's the main requirement. The second thing you need is a test before you travel there, and then a test when you arrive there, and then of course the U.S. requires you to test before you come to the United States. And those are the requirements today. As of September 19, or before September 19, they were not accepting any tourists or pilgrims. But after that, they had made it where they're allowed a controlled number of people, which we had 3 groups already there. And then as of November 1st, they made it where it's a little bit less, because you used to have to do a serological test as well when you arrive. So that's no longer required. And so we're hoping that by next January or January 23 that this will not be the case, as long as no other variants pop up. And so the Holy Land in history never saw the lack of visitors since its history. And you know the history of the Holy Land with its political troubles and things, but people still kept coming. But with COVID, it completely shut it down. We had our first group back in July, and we had several groups last month, and we had a group just arrived yesterday from Pennsylvania. So everything, all the sites are open. All the hotels, like I said, we use are up to standards when it comes to sanitary and sanitization. They have to have a certificate for them to allow the groups in. So if anybody knows what they're doing, we know what we're doing. So. All right.
Tony, with, we talk about Israel, United States, and then an X factor in that would be the airlines. I don't know if there's any way to project what the airlines are going to be requiring of people as well. Or
no, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know this part, but the airlines reflect the country of reception. So if you go to the airport today, you wanted to go to Israel, the airlines, it's not airline protocol, it's the destination country's protocol that would require the airlines to make sure that the person is vaccinated, that the person has a negative test before they're allowed to board. I don't know if that answered the question.
yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah, but it's not the airlines that have those requirements. It's the destination country. So when you come back to the United States from the Holy Land, for example, the CDC has a requirement that you need to be tested 3 days before you come back to the United States. Now, if the United States don't have that requirement, you don't need to be tested. Does that make sense? But the airline enforces those requirements for the country of destination.
How would testing work if it would still be required when we're there in 23?
We on the land we'll arrange for all the testings. So we will have a clinic come out to the hotel for the time that you needed for the testing, and we'll administer the test, and you'll get the results the same day or the next day, however it's done. But we will incorporate that into the daily itinerary. Good question. Yes, sir.
If you're going through Germany to get there, does Germany have any restrictions on testing?
As long as you're laying over, yeah. And no other country have restrictions like Israel right now. I mean, you can go to Germany without being vaccinated, but for Israel, you have to be vaccinated, and it has to be within 180 days. They made it so tough for our last month group. Oh my God, we were scrambling because we had 27 people. 20 of them had the Pfizer shot, which they were okay. They got the boosters. They were fine with it. The problem is with the other 7, 6 of them was Moderna. 1 of them was Johnson & Johnson. And they were not, they had not yet approved the boosters. So we were down to the wire. Pastor pulled some strings with a pharmacy friend of his, and he got them the shots, and they were able to all go. So, yes, sir.
Sir, without looking, what's your flight time from Detroit to final destination?
It's about 8.5 hours to get for Frankfurt, for example. You'll have a 2-hour layover, 3-hour maximum, and about 4-hour flight from Frankfurt to Tel Aviv. So all in all, about 12.5 hours.
Us old timers going to be dragging, in other words, huh?
What is it?
Us old timers is going to be dragging. Huh?
Oh no, man! You'll couple of glasses of wine, you should be okay.
Put me down for 2, will you?
There you go. Yes, sir.
Without knowing the airline we were taking, do you know when we would have to be here to leave for?
So you're about 2 hours away, and we recommend to have a 3-hour arrival at the airport for international flights. So with Lufthansa, it's about 5 p.m. their flight out of Detroit. I think, so I would say leave here by 10:30, 11 a.m. to be there about 3 hours before. So give or take. And so, you have to when we arrange for the bus, because now of course you don't have to utilize the bus if you don't want to. That's up to you. But it's included in the package price. So we have to count for the number of people on the group. We have to count for the luggage that needs to be put on the bus and off the bus. So we have to make sure that we give ourselves enough time, for everybody to make their flight.
Also, non-members of this church good on this?
I'm sorry?
Non-members good on this trip also?
That would be a question for Pastor Will.
Yeah, we have some non-members who are interested
Okay.
in coming along, Mark, so that is okay.
Okay.
So if you got a friend or,
Okay.
Will we have enough room? Like interest-wise?
we have no idea how many people are going. I would be happy and thrilled if we have 25. If we have 30 or 35, that's great, but I think you said basically 45 maximum.
Bus capacity is 55.
Right.
Now, if you want to put 50 there, that's up to you. We don't recommend it, but it's up to you.
So.
He's the boss, by the way.
No, actually, she's the boss.
Okay.
We can take them, right?
Definitely, yes.
He has a severe peanut allergy.
That,
Is
just
that-
let us know in advance,
Okay.
and we'll notate it. We'll let the airlines know, and all the hotels and restaurants know in advance.
Okay.
Yep. You'll like it. You'll enjoy it. I was just telling Pastor Will, I have a friend of mine, Pastor. He took his teenagers 2 years ago, and he was shocked to know that he's going back next year. He's shocked to know that his teenagers wants to go back. And it's not Disneyland, but they loved it. You know. Good. Yes, sir.
How many, luggage bags are you allowed?
So typically it's one checked luggage, one carry-on, and one personal item. So anything more than that, you don't need. You want to pack lightly. Comfortable shoes, like I said, the layers. Shoes is really important. And don't buy them and put them in your bag. Buy them, test it out, and then take them with you. Because it is very important to have comfortable shoes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my understanding it's like 30, 40, 50 degrees, raining quite a bit during that time that we
It is December, January is typically rainy season. However, it's just really depends on the region where you are, as well as where you are in elevation. So, for example, let's say if it's raining in Jerusalem tomorrow and we're scheduled to be in Jerusalem, we'll switch the program around. We'll visit Bethlehem instead, and we'll save Jerusalem for the next day. So the guides, they're always looking at things that will make your trip more enjoyable. But obviously, if you're enjoying yourself, their job is easy. But if he has 40 people that are, they're all complaining about one thing or another, it's going to be a tough job for him. So their job is to make sure that you are satisfied, every single one. So,
You
good.
mentioned about COVID vaccinations and that. What we have now, will that be good then at that time, or do we have to have more closer to the time of the?
That's a very good question. I predict if it's still required, that it probably has to be within 6 months of your travel. That's if it's still required, because that's what they're requiring now. So
we'd have to have the series of 3?
well, no, it's just as long as you took one within 6 months of your
Just one of them.
depart. Yes, so it doesn't matter if it's a booster or, right now they're accepting actually a recovery letter. So if you have recovered within 6 months, that could be your pretty much your vaccination or your entrance approval. And we're talking about, like I said, another 14 months from now. So a lot of experts are talking about sometime in late summer, early fall, that this thing will be out of the way. So we're praying. So, yes, ma'am.
What if, while we're in Israel, we become ill with COVID and we test positive? Do you have a place for us to stay when the rest of the group leaves?
Yes, definitely. We'll make sure we take care of you. Now, if this were the case today, definitely you will be responsible for, and this is one of the reasons why they require travel insurance that will cover COVID related delays or interruptions, such as this one. But yes, it's up to us to make those arrangements on your behalf. Yeah, and yeah, definitely we will do that. I saw a hand back there.
What is the initial middle date as far as I'm in or I'm not? I'm kind of on the fence, not sure.
Sure.
What is the date that we have to start planning, a deposit is due or?
So we don't require a deposit date, or we don't have a deadline for a deposit. We're just we're restricted by the number of spaces, pretty much. So the drop deadline would be 90 days from the departure, which would put us in October of 22. But we don't have a deadline for like a deposit date that we have to have. Just based on my experience, and this is not I'm not trying to, the number of people we have here, also the number of people registered already, I don't see this trip, have any problem selling out. And that's just my opinion based on, you know, the amount of interest that we've received and the amount of people here. So, m- get your deposit in as soon as possible.
Maybe could you say more about travel insurance?
Sure.
I mean, why it would, why or why not?
So-
Concerning
so
should we
travel-
or shouldn't we?
Yeah, travel insurance is typically is a suggestion. Today, it's a requirement. I'm sure it will be back to more as a suggestion. Travel insurance is, I would say, 95% of our customers do not use their travel insurance once they purchase it. It's just like having homeowners insurance. You know, you'll spend 10, 15 years paying for the homeowners and you never use it. But it's there in case you do. So travel insurance will cover you for any cancellations before your departure, trip interruption during your travel, personal effects, luggage loss, delays, anything that associated with while you're traveling, they will cover you for that. Also, will cover you medically when you are there. If God forbid you got sick, you need a hospital, you needed anything, the travel insurance will cover you for that. We only had one serious issue when we had one of our groups. A lady fell and she fractured her vertebrae, and so she had to spend almost 3 weeks in the hospital. And as soon as I got a call from my guide, I'm sitting there praying, please God, have her got insurance. And I checked her file and she had insurance. 3 weeks in the hospital, she had to also come back to the U.S. with a medical escort to make sure that she was, the insurance covered everything. Almost $65,000 or $70,000 worth of medical expense plus her transportation back to the States. All of that was covered under her policy. And this is, like I said, worst case scenario. Something will be simple, such as like losing your iPad on the plane. You can claim that to the insurance. Or if your luggage got delayed or even lost, that's also covered under your policy. I had a guy with the group just left. I guess his wife has Lyme disease, and I guess she got really bad in the last week before his departure. He canceled. I can't do nothing for him. We already paid the airlines, we paid the hotels, we paid everything. I feel really bad, but I mean, I can't do nothing for him. The only option he has is travel insurance. Travel insurance should cover him for that cancellation. So, yes, sir.
What's the cost of it as of right now?
So typically it goes based on the cost of the package and the age of the traveler. Because it has medical coverage, it does go off of that. It could range between $250 per person up to $700. It just really depends on those two variables.
When do you have to get the insurance? Like when you pay the deposit, do you get it right away, or do you?
So you can get the travel insurance if you get it within 21 days if initial deposit. So they'll give you 2 additional coverage, or they will give you a pre-existing condition waiver, okay, and then they will offer you an optional coverage for added cost, which is cancel for any reason. Now that, to me, I don't recommend it, because they're offering you cancel for any reason coverage, and they're only giving you back 50 to 75% of the cost of the trip, which really, and you're paying extra for it. It really doesn't. It's not worth the investment. But but if you don't care about the pre-existing condition waiver, then you can purchase the travel insurance up until 2-3 days before your trip. So you're not obligated to get it anytime soon. Good. You guys got some good questions.
You
Yes.
mentioned a couple glasses of wine earlier. Did we get a chance to sample like
Oh,
those
yeah.
wines and
Oh yeah. Every hotel you visit, every restaurant you go to, they will have a full bar. Of course, we will treat you to a couple times to some drinks. So we usually spoil our groups, so we try at least.
When we were there was a lot of wine. Just let you know.
Doesn't seem to be an argument over there.
Yeah, that
Oh.
was with the package.
well, yeah, that
Trying to
one.
loosen you guys up a bit.
No, it's great questions. Come on, bring them on. Do we have any questions from the online folks?
Not yet.
Not good.
You wanna,
They- Thank you. Thank you.
you wanna talk a little bit about, on this page, what's not included?
Oh yeah. Well.
Soft drinks, personal expense.
Yeah, so the only thing that's not included in this package, of course, we talked about the tips for guide and driver. We talked about travel insurance. The other thing is not included is drinks, soft drinks and alcoholic beverages, pretty much. That's it. It's easy, man. We do have the capability for you to register online. If you do use a credit card, there is a 4% surcharge, and that 4% only applies to the amount that you're using to pay. So if you only pay the deposit, which is $500, you're paying $20 in surcharge. You can also register online and choose the option pay with a check. So you'll submit your application and then you'll mail a check for us later. So you don't have to pay the 4% surcharge. That's available and also the form is very simple. We don't ask for all kinds of information. The main information we have is your name, your address, telephone number, email, and we do ask if you know your roommate to put down your roommate. If you don't know your roommate, you can put something for us to try to find your roommate. I'm sure we will have another informational meeting, maybe a couple before the trip. So you guys I don't know if Pastor Will's planning on having a get together, discuss maybe scripture and maybe more intense things for your trip. But it's the trip like this, like I said, it's a trip of a lifetime. It's something that will definitely be on top of everybody's favorite places. You will have a blast. You'll have the moments for you're having a great laugh, moments where you'll have a nice cry, moments where you have all kinds of different emotions all in one day, which is great. I mean, and what makes it even better really is you're going with a community. Because every time you see each other on Sunday or you see each other anywhere, you guys gonna remember that special time you spent together in the Holy Land. And I speak by experience because when I saw Pastor Will this morning, it just all rushed in, how much hard time he gave me in the Holy Land.
For the hotel rooms, like, we're a family of 4, can we get
Sure.
2 rooms then?
Yes, it's all the hotels are pretty much based on the bed. So if it's 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people, it will be a 2-room. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So my question was kind of similar, but like she's a senior in high school, so by the time she goes, she'll be a year into college.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I fill this out, each one of us fills this out,
Mm-hmm.
but then just make notation like, my husband and I in one room and then she's in another.
Yeah, we would like to have one application per person, so that way, all that information is clear. You can definitely add a side note if you like, if you don't want to fill out, because the same address and same other information. All we need is just like passport information and things like that. You
Do
can.
you know how long passports are running right now?
It really varies. I mean, I've heard crazy 9 months, and I've heard regular 4 to 6 weeks.
I think that's what they told me here, Dan.
So it really depends. I mean, I heard 9 months last week.
Is the
You know.
do you happen to know, because, the other people in our household, we all have our passports except for Reagan. And I was kind of holding off until she turned 18, just because is the breakdown, cause I know like if you're a minor, it's only good for 5 years.
Yes.
And then is it when they turn 18?
After 18, yeah, then it's 10-year passport. Is it 18 or 21?
I'm not sure, that's why I'm asking.
No, I think you know what? I think it's 21. I think
So
'cause
would it matter if I got her when I'm out, probably?
I don't I would double check on that, but I thought it was 20. I think it's 21.
I was kind of trying to hold out until 18.
Or you know, yeah, we need to check on that. That was good. That's a good question.
I just don't want it to be something that's gonna hang up with the state in a long time. The
Yeah.
process is right now.
Nancy told me if you're in doubt, just ask your phone.
Probably has the answers. It's probably already answered it, and if you go on Facebook, it'll be there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
No, it's 16.
It is 16.
16.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Very nice.
16 or older, when your passport was issued, your passport is valid for 10 years.
Oh, well, then we can go
Interesting.
get her to.
Thank you. Now I know. Oh, yeah.
I wanted to get her the post office, you know, I don't wanna buy her a passport.
Oh yeah, it makes a big difference.
5 years out of it.
Yeah. You guys look like you have some questions. No? Man, you guys are too easy. Usually the front is the troublemakers crowd.
We were there once before.
Oh, good.
I
Well, you
have a bottle of water in my
From the
wallet from
Jordan River?
I
Ah.
was able to smuggle back. But nobody will let me use it for anything.
Oh well. No,
But I
it's
understand the river's really clean.
oh, it's really nice to have. A lot of people have that. They do give you a hard time at the airport for it. You smuggling it in, that's pretty good.
Well, the guy that was checking me through, he said, "Is this for medical reason?" I said, "Well, it's more religion." "Is it for medical reasons?" I said, "Well," he said, "say yes."
Awesome.
Can I make trouble?
Yeah, of course.
On your cover sheet here,
Yes, sir.
I was reading down that, and I got down here to 9 days sightseeing, and a modern air-conditioned private bus, and I looked over to the right. Is that your bus?
That's an extension to the bus.
That's the old bus.
You recognize those two on there?
Pardon?
You recognize those two on there or no? I know it's a small picture, but
Well, you know, I was over in that area about 60 years ago on a ship, but I don't recognize the ship.
Oh,
the
man.
boat on here.
Also notice the picture of the two of them riding a camel.
yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah, the camel rides are optional, but they will be available for a couple times.
Has
So.
that thing spit on you yet?
Oh man, you should see the video we did last week with our group there, man. The ladies, and the whole group. I mean, they're getting kisses everywhere from the camels. So I was a little bit too close to my comfort. Awesome. You guys can't make this that easy. Any more questions?
Personal question,
Yes, sir.
just personal observation from me to you. You're a born, bred Israeli, right?
No,
No, I misstated that.
it's okay.
You were born in Israel.
Yes. Well, I was born in Bethlehem,
Bethlehem.
so that's a little bit too
And
too
what,
too broad.
how old was you when you left Israel?
I was 13.
Oh, you was 13.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was gonna ask you if you served in the Israeli army or
No, I left when I was too young.
not. Okay,
Yes.
just a person.
Oh, no worries. Yes.
So, if we were to get a bunch of olive oil
would Good Shepherd Travel help with shipping that back?
Definitely.
to the United
Yeah,
States?
not a problem. We'll help with whatever you need. Go ahead.
I see on the application that you're asking for the passport information. What if you don't have that?
So if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. You can still fill out the application and send it to us, and as long as you put on there just that it's pending, and as long as when you get it renewed, or just send us a copy so we can have it on file. So that's pretty much it. Good. All of our contact information are on the brochure, as well as on the informational packet that you received. Any questions, whatever the question may be, whether it's regarding payments or insurance, whatever it is, you're welcome to call us anytime. We are working with limited staff and office hours, but if we don't answer, leave us a message, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Most likely I will get back to you as soon as possible. So
a deposit goes along with the application?
yes, ma'am. A deposit, application, copy of passport if it's available, and you're good to go. You don't have to hear from us or see us for another 6-7 months until 90 days before. Of course, you're welcome to call us, but we won't call you and bother you. Good? It's too quiet.
Hey, everyone, if we could give Tony a big thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. So you guys don't forget some baklava before you leave, or if you need anything, I'm here. If you're ready to fill out the application, we're happy to take it, or you can do it whenever you want.
Did you want the video shown?
Oh, if you want to show the video, that would be. This is a. So I'm so excited about this video because I just received it, and the group just came back. They're from North Carolina. They just came back the day before yesterday. So it's fresh as fresh can be. Just let Pastor Will do it.
Stephanie.